So we're up to one of my favorite topics right now, and this is all about change management. This is such an important thing because what we're really doing here is enabling a shift in mindset that creates a transformation that results in people achieving incredible things. So although this is part of an OKR bootcamp, it's actually something that applies more broadly. It can apply to any type of change you're introducing. It's so often done so poorly and people get lost in the change journey. The change journey gets unnecessary criticism just because we don't quite get it right. So today I'm going to share with you some of the key concepts that are really going to help unlock maximum change with individuals that can really help them become everything they want to become within the context of the change that we're making. It's about how do we give them the best chance of success that we possibly can. Let's actually get into what is change management. It's about engaging people in on the change journey. It's creating clarity behind the why. It's helping them understand why is the change important, but it's also helping include them in the creation of the change. We want them involved so they've got buy-in in the change journey. This starts very early in the cycle because you want to be talking to people to understand what are the sort of hopes and aspirations they have for the change, and what are the sort of the fears that they have, so you can start engaging them in on that change. The biggest question is always, what does it mean for me? What am I winning or losing as part of this? And you need to understand each team member's perspective on what they believe they'll be gaining or losing from any type of change journey. And so move away from the solution and get down to what do they need to do right here and right now to take the right steps to help improve themselves in whatever area they want to be improving in. And I wouldn't be using that language with them about improving. It's about what do they want to achieve? Where do they see themselves tomorrow? What makes them happy? What do they love most about work? I often get this question where there's people that they're just stuck in their way and they're just happy doing what they're doing. You're not asking the right questions. Talk to them to actually understand about what inspires them. What do they enjoy most? And then how can we frame this change journey to help engage them to enable whatever is their passion, whatever inspires them most? We can look at it in two different ways. We've got the team and we've also got the individual. And for any change journey, we need to think about both. For the individual and focusing on the individual, it's about what is the big idea that they want to achieve? What is this new thing that you're talking about? In this case, objectives and key results or something around those lines. How is that going to enable them to become awesome? How do they become the superhero? So by introducing this idea, they're going to become something great. We need to understand, how do we create that link? And how does that line up with their purpose? If we can do this for one individual, we're going to be engaging them in on the change journey. But in your own mind, as a leader of this change journey, you need to think about your key players. What are they unhappy with today? What is the big idea? And how does that relate to the change program you're running? What will that enable them to become? And how will this enable them to become something awesome? And how does that engage their passion? If we do that for the team, then we've got something really powerful unlocked. The individual is most important because through individuals we create a change movement. But if we engage the team, that's where we really unlock something incredible. If we can have all of them understand what this new idea, this new thing is going to unlock within them, it's going to make them awesome and it's going to let them invoke their passion. We need to be clear on, as a team, what are the mechanics that are going to enable this new idea to make us incredible and therefore achieve our passion. Through this, we can create a shift in what we want to achieve. We create a desired state for someone, where they want to end up. We help them clarify that in their mind. We can then help them understand what transformation do they need to go through to make that happen. And this is where we talk about a change in mindset, which is entirely possible, but we need to help them on that journey. There's going to be varying levels of resistance that we're going to find from different people, and what that means is that we haven't quite gotten this change narrative right. If we can clearly articulate why change is important and how it enables success, then the change can have wide-sweeping viral impact within the organization, so it becomes a beast of its own. A key enabler of creating this viral change movement is releasing a change narrative that engages and inspires people. Something that connects people with the bigger picture, but also draws a story that makes them understand where do they fit into the change journey and why is it so important that right now we embark on this journey. Before we get to some of the practices and methods that we follow, it's important to understand how do you articulate this change. Here we're going to explore the change narrative that can create a massive impact to how your people perceive the change and engage in the change. This is something based on the hero's journey. If you're a fan of Star Wars, pretty much every film is a mirror print of this. It's incredible how it can engage and inspire people to achieve something great and bring them in on an amazing journey that you're trying to drive forward for. It connects with the why and it creates passion behind it. It gives us clarity around what we need to do to make this journey. The template is incredibly simple. Getting it right is really tricky. We start off with an ordinary world. What's happening that makes us comfortable? Why are we quite happy with the status quo? We then call to adventure. Why do we need to change? What's the point of this? What's the real thing going on here that means we actually need to shift the burning platform? The hero. Who's going to come and save the day, right? It's going to be your people. It's coming from within. It's all of you. How are we all going to drive this change? Got to come from within. The strategy and refusal. What approach will we follow to overcome the problem? How is this different from other change options and attempts in the past? Now, by refusal, we want to here acknowledge your own personal refusal. In the beginning, with your OKR journey, maybe you didn't believe that it was necessary. Maybe you thought things were okay, but then something changed the idea in your head. What made that shift? What made you all of a sudden believe that we need to do something different? Who's going to guide us through this journey? Now, this one might be you. This might be an external support, whatever it might be, but it's going to be something that's going to help us get in on this journey. It has to be a winning factor that for your business will make this change different to anything anyone else has experienced before. This is how we're going to be successful. Slaying of the dragon. So what are you asking your people to do? We're getting them engaged. We're getting them excited. Here is our ask, the thing you must achieve. And finally, the vision success. What do we get if we really achieve this? If we nail this, what do we become off the back of this journey? How does that engage our passion, our vision, everything we want to do? Let's look at an example. We've got an ordinary world. We've been lucky enough to have a great run for many years. Through everyone's hard work, growth has been solid and people use our product. We're happy customers. Our call to adventure. The reality is things are changing fast. We knew Uber would consume the market share, but not at this pace. So this company's been impacted by a big disruptor, right? They're seeing a big threat coming in. Customers' expectations are increasing. They want a convenient and clean service with a smile. In this regard, we're failing them. This company is acknowledging that they're not hitting the mark for their customer. They're realizing that we need to do more. The hero, how can we possibly compete? Well, we have you. No one understands the business like you all. We can be the change that we need to make happen. It is the people that are going to make this successful. The strategy and refusal. In the beginning, I didn't want to believe the data. Refusing the idea couldn't have been possible. This all changed one night out at dinner. My partner shared stories of so many companies who'd been in the same situation and failed to take action. We're not making that mistake. We're going to create an incredible customer experience from booking to drop-off and beyond. Our journey's guide. To be successful, we will need to shift our approach to being genuinely customer first in everything we do. Step one Is every single staff member considering how every minute of the day adds value to the customer? If it doesn't, then stop doing it. Our vision of success. Once we've made this transition, customers will love us. You will have a new set of capabilities to keep the transformation going, and a healthier business means we all get a slice of the success. Are you up for this? Now, by creating this compelling message and this really high energy vision of the future, you can create a movement within your business that sustains, that connects with the why. People can see this and understand what's going on. Why are we going through this change? This should be your starting point. Drafting and getting your change journey aligned and uncovered. This is high impact kind of stuff. In a moment, we're going to run through katas model, but first I want to talk a little bit more about how we apply change. So first, we've got to have a clear why. This is the vision and the reason why we need to go through change. It's really important to have that. Often through change, we don't see that, or it's not well articulated. Now, I've heard a quote somewhere where a CEO said, unless your people are mocking you and repeating what you're saying, then the message hasn't gotten through. So keep driving these messages forward. You really want to make sure that your people are engaged with it. So here's the why. This is what we're trying to achieve. Here's why now is such an important time to go through with this. Change champions. So this is where both at the executive level and the team level and all the way in between, depending on your size of business, you've got that support where there is a core group of people that are going to make your change happen and support it no matter what. They understand the intent behind what we're trying to achieve. They're going to understand the core sort of concepts. So you might want to share with them the introductory videos that we have around understanding the OKR framework and why it's important to their business. But you've got to have that connection there. Through this cohort of people, what we call our champions, you're going to be able to really lead that sort of change. You can see here we've got our change lead, the person who's really making stuff happen, sitting right in the middle. Now, to be honest, that's probably you in this case. And that's fantastic. It comes with a lot of glory. It comes with a lot of success, but it's a lot of hard work. So that might be you. Surrounding you, you're going to have some of your more influential players, and they're the high touch point sort of people that you need to be working with. It might be your executive team. It might be a bit of your executive team and your senior leaders. Whatever the case might be, this is the leadership group that makes up the change program, and they're going to be heavily invested in this journey. If we think about the next layer down, the outer sort of circle, that's where you've got your people who are at the team level who are making these changes and applying these changes. These are the ones, to be honest, that are doing the heavy lifting. You need to support them because it is so hard when you're trying to introduce new concepts and you're one of few within a team. Now, you can apply training to everyone within your business, and that is going to make it a bit easier. But at the end of the day, it's going to be an easier journey in the long run if you actually get them moving and trying stuff out nice and early. If you can afford the training and to get them in on this kind of stuff in depth, fantastic. If not, get them across the introductory videos and they can pick it up as they go. We've got these different layers of change members and we need to understand how we support them. So that's something for you to reflect on. I actually want you to write this down. How are you going to create this cohort and how are you going to supply support at different levels and during different needy times? Because sometimes certain groups are going to need a whole bunch more love than others. Next, we've got our small experiments. So through this change journey, in fact, this whole program is in itself you running an experiment, trying this out within your business without really taking a massive leap to make this happen and promise that it's all going to deliver amazing outcomes. We're going to prove it. We're going to go through this journey and prove it with a small experiment, quick and easy to pull together with a small sort of cohort. We'll come back to how you select that group in a moment. If we then talk about our regular reflection, the key thing is understanding what is holding everyone back. And this is why we've got a special deal with Cohen. You can get a sign up with these guys. You add in a special question, which I will give to you in another piece of material. But with that, you can have a regular reflection with your team and capture what is their biggest blocker right now. Have the team do a regular reflection weekly. and capture what is blocking them right now, because that is going to be how you supercharge that team's performance. It is part of the OKR framework, having that regular reflection, but the blocker part is absolutely critical. If we then talk about publicizing wins and creating a perception of success. So we've got our people, they're doing their experiments, they're, I'm sure, going to be delivering value. We want to publicize those wins, get it out there, make sure the business understands that people are driving incredible success right now through the OKR framework. So that perception of success as well also builds up your team's confidence. They're going to feel much better about themselves if they're driving home these big targets and these big outcomes. So have a look at that and make sure you get that kind of structure in place. Supporting all of this is the change canvas. Again, check out the links. There's a change canvas in there. Each OKR experiment you're running, the overarching one should be covered by a parent canvas that covers why we're doing this whole experiment. But for each team, they should have their own canvas. So they know why they're doing it and why they're running their experiment within their own context. Now, that sheet has all the right sort of information that's going to make sure that they're driving success and outcomes for themselves and getting the right kind of picture as to what they're trying to achieve. So have a look and check it out. So how does this then come together and apply to katas model? Well, I'm going to whip around this and then we're going to talk about each one. So we've got creating a sense of urgency, a guiding coalition, strategic vision and initiatives, volunteer army, removing barriers, short-term wins, sustain acceleration, and institute the change. So how does this apply? How do these two concepts come together? For us, the why is the urgency and the vision. If we've got a clear why and vision, that's going to create this sense of urgency, but it's going to have some purpose and passion behind it. The guiding coalition, so for Kata, that's your leadership team. Now, they tend to separate the two. For me, I like to bring these groups together and make sure that there's a real cohesion behind the group that is leading and driving for the change, but also the people that are actually making it happen, because you know what? They're the ones actually leading it. They're leading it within the business. So we want to have that close connection there. Your voluntary army, of course, that is, as we're saying, part of that group. You want to remove barriers. So this weekly reflection that we're talking about is your chance to capture barriers, make it easy for them. Make the decision to use OKRs easier than any other alternative. Make it very simple. The harder it is for them to flip to an alternative framework, the less likely that people will go back to that. And that framework might be a non-existent framework, but if we want to make this behavior stick, you need to understand how are you going to make this the easiest path. Those short-term wins are all about these small experiments. How can you do little experiments, get those wins, celebrate those wins and publicize them, so you're building this perception of success. You become known as the change program that is a huge success within your business. You need to sustain the acceleration. So through all of this, you should be having wins. You need to be embedding that within your business and continuously finding little improvements and tweaking things. Again, by removing your blockers, you're going to sustain those kind of benefits, but you really need to be making sure that you don't just give up, apply the framework within a given team and then move on to the next team. That team needs to keep on refining it. They need to be sharing this information into a central knowledge repository. So in the notes, you've got a link that points to a basic information article that talks about OKRs. Put that into your intranet site or your Confluence page, whatever you use to track this kind of stuff in your business. But get people to contribute to it. As they learn, as you apply the framework within your business, tweak it and change it. This is the real power and we get this exponential growth. Finally, institute the change. So make sure that we're embedding this into our policies and practices and that we're still improving change as we get throughout the change cycle. There's no point where we get to the end and say, right, we're done. This is really about how do we now bake it in and make sure the organization is applying these new benefits and new changes at their core. So again, get your policies in place. Now, for many organizations, having a written up policy is not going to help you, but having a very clear document about how we work and how we really drive success within our organization, that's going to be critical. Another part of that is training. How do you train people that are onboarded? How do you hire and make sure those people you're onboarding are the right fit for what you're trying to achieve? Are they outcome-focused people, or are they just tick box kind of people? Make no mistake, this is a mindset shift as much as it is about a business shift and a cultural shift. Get really clear on that and make sure the people you're hiring will deliver on this kind of vision. So to sum all of this up, really what we're talking about here is many parts of change. We're talking about mindset. How do we shift the mindset of the organization to being outcome-based? How are we shifting ways of working to harness a framework that makes us stretch and strive for success, but also reflect and improve on how we're working? We're having to think about how these pieces come together, and the incentives that support that are really going to make our change programs successful. So you need to be clear in your mind, what mindset are we shifting? How are we setting this up for success? How are we embedding these kind of practices? So check out those templates and create a plan on how you're going to apply this right now in your business as you embark on this journey. Because getting the change management piece right is absolutely critical for you to succeed at this.